Welcome to the Unearthed Life. This is the second part of the episode called Grittiness with Beth and I as we continue our conversation. If you have not listened to the first one, I encourage you to do so as we refer to that in this episode. Thank you for joining us today. Here we go. Beth and I have both audiobooked the Let Them Theory. I don't know if any of you have read or listened to it. It's by Mel Robbins, and I do not know if she has a faith or not. She doesn't say she does. But the Let Them Theory is a really curious theory. It's basically, in definition of it, it's to let other people go. Even if they hurt you or something happens, you let the circumstance go. She says, let me, which is taking the decision on yourself, how you respond. I love this theory. I love what she talks about in this book. But I wanted to talk to Beth about this because, of course, as believers, we have God. So in my heart and head, it's let God take care of them. Let me make those decisions out of love for myself and others in response to circumstances. So Beth, what was your initial thoughts of the theory?
I was really skeptical going into this book, if I'm being honest. No offense to Mel Robbins.
Yeah.
I will say I really enjoyed listening to it. Mm-hmm. It is an easy listen and really riveting. The idea is captivating because I think it's something we can all relate to. Mm-hmm. She's great at bringing it to a level of the human experience. This is something, if you are alive and breathing, then you have likely thought these thoughts or experienced these things. And so I enjoyed going with her through her journey of figuring out how to flesh this out and learning about the psychology of it, things like that. I have other thoughts of a little disappointments towards the end, but overall, I enjoyed the book. It definitely affected me. It caused me to question the ways that I do things.
Yeah. I think it's really good, as I said, about the victim mentality, because it takes you out of that. It gets your ability to make a decision for yourself apart from other people.
Right.
And that is what we as humans have a really hard time with, because we're very codependent in some ways.
Yeah.
We have to concentrate more on what I call interdependence, which is knowing yourself and who you are and having confidence and being an individual and having dependence on God for your decision making, for who you are, for Him telling you what you need to do. I always come back to the story in the Bible of the friends who can't get in to see Jesus because the house is so crowded that they dig a hole through the thatch roof and lower him down, right?
Yes.
And so it's that let God take care of those you care about. Whatever circumstance, like if you're hurt in a friendship or if you're hurt by a circumstance that didn't work out, to be able to let go of it, you place it in front of Jesus, in front of God.
Yes.
And so I feel like the let them is also like letting go of the world, of whatever decision was made, even though it hurts you, because that's the second step of this, but letting God take that from you and surrendering it to Him.
Right.
Of, yes, this hurt me. I got left out. I didn't get the scholarship. I didn't get the job. I didn't get whatever. I have to let it go and surrender how I feel and who I am to you and find peace with you instead of going to something of a bad decision,
right,
of trying to self-medicate or soothe in a really bad way. And so I feel like in that way, it's a little different from her book, is that we get God in the picture as our resource.
Right. Right. I think the idea of letting them is so healthy. Like, to come to the realization that you can control no one is super humbling, but so healthy. And to realize that people are in charge of their choices and they're choosing who they want to be, or they're just surviving as well. I mean, is really freeing. And I think a lot of us get stuck in that mental space of not being able to let go of that control. And also, like, I'm just thinking, what if God has not felt safe to you, or the church has not felt safe to you? You don't necessarily, it's not easy for you to go and let God because you felt wounded in different scenarios in your spiritual life before. I just think what you said is great, because how many Psalms are there where it's like, you are my safe place. You are my refuge. I am safe, like in the shadow of your wings. Hide me there. But that's really his heart towards us, is that we can run right there and just surrender it over to him and trust that he can handle it no matter how ugly it is. And I think that space for me, maybe I'm highly emotional, maybe I'm not, I don't know, is a lot of emotional turmoil. There's a lot of emotional turmoil when we're talking about real relationships that are cared about, and somebody did something that really hurt me or made me mad or whatever. And then I have to go, I think it's a lot of people get stuck in that reeling of like, I'm hurt, I'm a victim, I'm this, I'm that. I'm going to go shopping and buy like 5 new pairs of shoes because that makes me feel better. Or I'm going to go drink 5 glasses of wine because that's going to make me feel better. Like becoming mentally aware, which is why I like the Let Them book. Like becoming mentally aware of that tension within us is such a empowering tool of, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize I was stuck here. You know what I mean? Without God, I don't know how people... what do you do with it once you're like, okay, let them, well, now I've lost all my friends, or what do you, I'm not sure how people do that without the Lord, of saying, God, I'm going to bring this conflict to you, or I'm going to bring all my emotions to you, or God, I can trust that you're working things out, even if I can't see it, that there's that hope and faith that lie there at his feet you don't have if you don't walk with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think your point of control, like we have such a culture of control. Everybody wants to control what happens, and it's anxiety. Like it doesn't feel safe. Our world isn't safe. We just try all of our measures and money and things to keep ourselves feeling safe and control it. I want to control my kids. So yeah, I think parenting in the big picture is all about letting them too. Yeah. Because they are their own person and they're their own people, and you can control to a point, and then you just got to start letting them go and let them make their bad decisions and watch it unfold. And that is hard. It is so hard, to the fact that we can't control everything. However, I do really like when she was talking about understanding you can't change people. Yes. I know that in the back of my head, but I'm like, oh, Jesus, like, do you have me in this position to help them change? Oh, dear God, I got to stop that. Oh, literally, like, dear God, I cannot have that mindset anymore, because what she said was really helpful to me. She said, you can't change people, but you can inspire them to change. Yes. That's it. Yeah. You can inspire somebody to change, but they won't say, I'm all in when you tell them a command. Right. I don't do that. Right. I weigh it against everything in my head and my own experiences. And yeah, that might be good for them, but it's not going to be good for me. And so as much as maybe somebody else sees something that needs to change in me, I'm really reluctant if I'm not told by my spirit, by my internal regulation. Right. Which is the inspiration. Oh, for sure. If I see something or I hear something and then I'm like, oh, that's really cool. It's probably something that somebody's already said, right? Or tried to tell me. Being able to inspire someone. So what would that look like to inspire somebody to change? I think that is a very curious question. I thought she talked about a little bit in the book, but in perspective of God and our culture and world, I think it is encouraging life with God, maybe for us and the way we live. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how would you inspire somebody to change?
Oh, gosh.
Isn't that a hard question?
It is. And it's really humbling. Like, I think it's, one of those things that you realize as a parent, those like cringe moments when you hear your kids say something and you're like, you learned that from me.
Right.
Learning yourself is the thing that inspires people. But exactly what you said, like, I think when you encounter people who live their life centered around the Lord and living out of his fullness, right, it should draw you in to joy, wonder, peace, contentment. Those are the fruits of the Spirit that come from communing with the Lord, being in relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's what Jesus did. Jesus didn't walk around with his 10 steps of like, this is, like that was the Pharisees. The Pharisees were like, here's your 500 steps to being a perfect human. And Jesus,
the law.
Yeah. Jesus was like, no. And he lived it. Yeah. And he lived out of a life out of communing with God.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously that inspired people. Here we are thousands of years later still talking about him.
Right.
The impact of that is profound.
Yeah.
But for me, I settle for all the cheap counterfeits.
Yeah. Don't we all?
Yeah.
We walk around 95% in our subconscious. We make our decisions only 5% of our conscious, surface abilities. So if we don't take time and actually think about why we're making decisions or why we are the way we are or who we want to be, we aren't going to probably move into a new space.
That's so good.
If we want to help somebody move into a new space, it's asking questions and getting them to really know who they are.
Right.
Because being known for yourself or by somebody else is love. Like, it feels so good if you can approach a relationship or spouse, like your husband or your wife, and really go, oh, they know me.
Right.
I'm sitting here really having a hard time. And then they come in and go, but you're like this. This is who you are. And then it makes you feel loved and in depth of you. If we help somebody know themselves and we get to know that person by questions, intuitively end up showing them love.
Right.
And love changes the person. If you love somebody to adopt, I think it can change somebody in that way of just knowing them and caring for them and taking that time to be with them.
Right.
Can actually change somebody.
Right. Especially done with Christ.
Right.
I think that's really the game changer. Being known is a huge part of it. And I love what you said about asking questions. And I think one of the things that strikes me is the culture we live in, we self-soothe, we avoid, we distract. And so I find myself doing that. We're so busy and we have so many things to put our mind to constantly. We can't even stand in line to pay for our groceries anymore without pulling out a phone or entertaining ourselves. And I think that leaves us feeling lost without identity of, I don't even know how I'm feeling. I think I'm fine because I've been distracted for the last 5 years. You know what I mean?
Totally.
I think breaking points and points of growth come when those emotions start to fight. Self-soothing in the same way isn't working anymore.
Right.
I'm still angry. I'm still upset. I'm still sad or anxious or whatever. These things aren't working for me anymore. And I think when you ask questions, it allows your brain the space to ask itself. Like, I'm not great at in my subconscious being like, well, Beth, why do you feel that way? Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I think it's an interesting place to be curious about yourself, curious to know really what you're feeling and who you are and why we don't do that.
Right. And so I think, to take it back to the point of inspiring change, I think it takes both and of that self-awareness to even know if you want to change or need to change. To be inspired. I mean, I think one of the things that moves people the most is hope. Hope that there is, okay, now I have discerned that this needs to change or I want to change, but you're not going to do anything about it if you don't feel hope.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? And so, and I think I underplay how impactful it is to see people walk out or live out the things that I want to be. Does that make sense? It's not necessarily doing a certain thing. I'm not human and I'm not jealous. And I'm like, you're going to the Bahamas. I'd love to be going to the Bahamas. But I more mean on the level of like, you are peaceful.
Yeah. So that's it. That's what I was thinking about earlier is when you want to become different. Or I see somebody doing something really cool or having a life. I wish I could do that or be like that. And that's the other thing that can help is ask them if you know them or look into their lives. That's why I love biographies, because if you know that this person lived a good life, then what did they do? Study what did they do?
Right.
Because anyone you study that has been successful, it has not been easy.
Right.
They have stories of struggles, of failures and overcoming and being able to make those hard decisions of this is still who I want to become.
Right.
In that way. And so I think it is looking at another person and going, oh, well, what are you doing to make your peaceful life? And how do you feel like that? You're so joyful.
Right.
Where does that come from?
Right.
And how do we get there? I think my story is more, I'm kind of the refining out of fire. I have made changes in my life to avoid pain.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have felt pain so many times and just in circumstances of being more sensitive to things around me and sensitive to what people say. And it's just a painful thing within me that I get so hurt that then I change to not want to feel that again.
Right. Right.
But I do really process it of, okay, was that me? Was that them? What do I need to do differently? Because I don't want to feel like this again.
Right.
And that causes me to change. So you can change from wanting hope and goodness and all that. Definitely.
Yeah.
What I identify with is I have changed for the better out of the pain and avoidance of pain and feeling it.
Yeah.
Processing it and going towards what is good to what caused the pain.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I think we proved, though, why you cannot force someone to change.
Yeah.
Because what inspires you versus what inspires me
is different.
Is different. Is different. And I think the Lord uses different scenarios all the time.
Exactly. It's because of our experiences.
Yeah.
It's our experiences of life and how God's created us internally to deal with each thing that we come across.
Right.
And we can't compare. See, that's the killer. The comparison's the killer.
It so is. It so is.
Because that's why we have to let people live their lives.
Right.
And not compare ourselves to other people's lives, because it's going to be different. We are so different.
Right.
Our circumstances, how we see things, how we interpret, everything is so different.
Yes. I think the Let Them book really challenged me personally of being aware of what drives my decisions. Mm-hmm. And being aware of how much of that is other people when I didn't think it was. You know, I think she points some really great things out to help teach people. But ultimately, I feel like it comes to the Holy Spirit as well to kind of bring those things to light of where we've got to let go, or God with you, let me change. Let me change. And, you know, that's a scary spot to be. But what's even scarier, 25 years from now, being stuck in the same thing or having the same issues, or please, God have mercy, right? I want to get better. I want to get better and learn along the way. And that comes from listening, asking the Lord, maybe being courageous and asking other people.
Yep.
It's not easy. It's mentally gritty.
Yes.
To stick it out and really apply some of those theories.
It is. I think what also is missing from the Let Them theory, and I do think it's a great theory, except for the fact that with God, we can also have intercession of prayer. God inspires us to change.
Yeah. Jesus
inspires us to change. I don't think I would be able to change without it. Right?
Absolutely not. You know, the prayer of like, soften my heart, open my eyes, open my ears, let me hear you, Lord. Like, those are things that I pray often because, you know, it's like Pharaoh, and he's described as hard-hearted. And sometimes when you read the story of Exodus, you're like, I just want to slap him across the face and just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just want to stay in a position of humility where I'm soft-hearted to hear, because exactly what you said, those moments of interaction with the Lord are the biggest moments of change for me as well.
Yeah. It's the vulnerability and safety of time with God.
Yeah.
It'll change you. It will. To be able to sit with him and let the love of God change you. And you'll be different, and you'll be able to have a different perspective when you let other people do their thing, and you can decide in a healthy way for yourself and with God's new perspective in the situation.
Right. And I think, you know, with that, my biggest disappointment in the Let Them book was, what about the relationships that are worth fighting for or working through conflict? Like, this is valuable, and that might look like a family relationship or a marriage relationship, kid, parent, child relationship. There's conflict in all of those areas. And what does this look like walking it out when something does need to be addressed? Because the Bible's also very clear. You know, I was reading in Galatians this morning, like, go to them in kindness. What do we do here when we're having a hard time with one another? Which is just inevitable. It's an inevitable part.
It is. And if you don't work on conflict, you're going to be by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What I've realized is I give myself 24 hours before I respond. If it's something that like happened to me, I've responded too soon. And haven't we all learned the hard way of, that was all emotion. That was no rationality in that response. And I just made it worse. So I have told myself I give it 24 hours. I at least sleep one night on it before I respond and take it to Jesus. And I call it my filter, because in that 24 hours and taking it to Jesus, I ask, take anything of offense or anything that I don't need to hang on to away. I don't need to think about it. I don't need to worry about it. take it away. And whatever I do need to actually maybe speak on, let me know.
Yeah.
Leave it, process it. Tell me what you think and whatever you need me to deal with. Sometimes there's nothing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go. It's not worth the relationship. It's not worth saying anything at this point. And then other times he has left some stuff, even in my marriage.
Yeah.
It's helped with the kids.
Yeah.
We've both had to remind each other and look at each other and go, don't say anything right now. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We are calmer. We are clearer.
Yeah.
And we don't have to fight over things that are unnecessary.
Right.
Had that with friends. Yeah, that's just a tool I have learned to use for myself.
The let them theory almost, it lines up with that a lot of like take a breath.
Right.
Take a breath and realize that why they did what they did is not necessarily so that you feel how you feel.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, we don't need to be offended by everything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. And so I think it encourages that step back of let's take a minute and let them stay, right there and realize what's going on in here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, what we've talked about this whole time is what's going on in here is really the only thing we have control over.
Yes.
It is where everything happens.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that's what we're accountable for. And
Yes.
what flows out of us towards other people. And I like the challenge of let me with God. I like that challenge because it kind of calls you out to be who you want to be or who the Lord made you to be.
Or who he's calling you to be in the relationship.
Yeah. And to be Christ-like in this scenario or whatever, I think that's an amazing invitation to be able to respond to. But man, I gotta be honest. It is really hard.
It is hard. It is hard.
It is really hard.
Because you want to be validated for your own feelings and your own emotions. And sometimes that's just not going to happen. And you have to be okay with that.
Right.
You have to be okay with, okay, I'm not going to be seen in this scenario. And God, you see it.
Right.
I might be invisible. I'm really hurt. They might never know.
They might never know.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. And I can walk away with peace and have a decision either way of I can let that relationship go, or I just need to just put some space for right now. It's not always helpful to go silent. That was actually, did you remember in the book when she talked about that? I think it was in the book where when people give you the silent treatment, that means they are actually emotionally unregulated and can't respond in a healthy way. Yeah. And it's an immaturity of what they learned as a child to not be able to emotionally regulate in a relationship and come to you to talk. And I was like, oh, I've experienced that, and I've probably done that. Right? And
I think we all do in different moments and scenarios.
So both ways around that. I thought that was a really good point she made too, was I do that and I've done that. So that means I need to work on my ability to ask myself how I'm really feeling about it and take action when I need to.
Yeah.
I think I've been learning to do that, but how she put it was like, yeah, of course, when something happens to you and you go, oh, I feel like I'm in high school again. I just got hurt by a group of girls, friends saying something and the gossip, or I'm like, oh, I feel really young right now. It's not feel safe. What do I do with it? Yeah. And I just want to walk away.
Right.
Most of the time, that's probably okay because it's the fact that they didn't realize what they said. They didn't mean it. And I just give them the benefit of the doubt of I took offense of that. They probably didn't mean it like that. But then other times, how valuable is that friendship to you?
Right.
Does God want you still in this to pursue that person and work through so that you're both healthier and you're both in a better space. You both learn to be better people and better at friendship.
I feel very passionately that the world as it is right now in cancel culture functions in such, we're either praising you or you're canceled. And there's no in between. And that is not what friendship looks like or should look like.
Yeah.
And there is healthy levels of let them do what they're going to do. Let them make their decisions. But there's also this goodness that comes out of close relationships. Your safe people.
Yes.
Not just anyone. Yeah. Your safe circle of people.
Yeah.
Of, I want to be called out. Like you can probably see something in me that I cannot see myself.
Yeah.
And how much pain could you save me from?
Right.
If you just came alongside me in kindness and in love and said these things. And that's where I struggle a lot with the let them theory of we can't just be like, shoving people off all the time.
Right.
Or walking away. Sometimes the Lord's asking you to dig in. Or somebody's trying to dig in with you.
Yeah.
And society tells us, I don't want to be friends with you.
Yeah.
You don't make me feel good about myself. If you're my friend, you should make me feel good about myself all the time. Tell me that's not everywhere in our culture.
It is. It is.
And I feel like that's so cheap. That's such a cheap version of friendship of like, when I love you and you love me, please tell me I'm being an idiot, or you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what we were talking about earlier is the mental strength and the grittiness of you have a friendship and something happened. Are you going to do the hard work and make the hard decisions to get to the closer friendship and to actually move forward together because you really care about this person and you know that you're part of the problem? Like you always have to ask yourself and just be really honest.
Yeah.
Because we're not perfect. We're going to say and do things. We're going to have things on our face that we don't even know we made a facial expression about and people get upset. It's going back to, are you going to make that hard choice and that hard decision to actually improve this relationship because it's important and you're going to do hard work.
And I can't help but think about marriage in this scenario because that's like the number one place where you practice these skills, right? It's worthwhile, but it is not easy.
No, it's not.
And it's really a battleground where you have to get gritty and dig your feet in and do the work of how to walk this out is messy.
It is.
It's so messy and full of emotions and leaves you very vulnerable and exposed, whether it's marriage or close friendship.
Yeah.
Practicing it is hard. And I don't want to take away the humanity of that because I think we can talk about it and it sounds really easy, but you can intend the best for other people and it might not be received that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's, again, asking yourself, maybe I said it kind of snarky or did I say, because I know I do that. Like the way I say things to my husband or the way he says it to me is like, oh, wow, that was really not nice. And he's like, well, that's why I didn't mean it that way. And I was like, well, we need to work on how we actually say things to each other because it's that initial, it might not actually be something we're saying. It's the tone that we're saying it to and the heart behind it, even though it might not be the words, what we want to get out of it behind it.
Yeah.
And so we have to do a self-check on that of, okay, where was I actually trying to get to with that question and that comment with him or a friendship? Was I trying to get something out and I was passive aggressive? Was I being clear? Was I not being clear? And then ask yourself those questions again. It's all about the questions of, okay, where am I at in making that decision of clarity? And yeah, it is messy. It's going to be messy until the day we die. It is because we're still discovering who we are because circumstances will change us forever. Every day, another circumstance of struggle, of trauma, of tragedy will change us. Then we have to renew ourselves again.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned a lot is we have to continue discovering who we are with our circumstances and our spouse and our friends. And I want to say, like, you don't have to have a large group of very vulnerable people around you.
Oh, for sure.
I love thinking about Jesus had 3.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have my 3. I have my 3 plus my husband of friends who I do life with. And I can have these hard conversations with, and they see me and I see them, and we can do that. If you have a larger group that you are around, make sure you don't offer your vulnerability to everybody, because that's where you're going to be like, oh, now I'm getting hurt everywhere. Those are the circumstances where you can choose how much you share, how much time you spend. We had a dear friend tell me years ago, she's like, you just need a handful or less of people, which is like 5 or less people that you know are going to be life on life. Outside of that, ministry. Just think of it as ministry, and you let Jesus and God with you minister to what they need. Like, You're not expecting anything in return from them.
Right.
And you just are friends, and you offer what you have to them without expecting anything in return. And that freed me a lot. It just frees you.
Yeah.
Because it is letting them go. You know, you be present with them and you hang out with them and you do some life, but don't expect them to fulfill a need, because then that's too much.
Right.
And then you end up having all the emotions and like dysregulation because of the expectations.
For sure.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot. So thank you, Beth, for processing through all of this. It's so good. Yeah, the book we were talking about is called Let Them by Mel Robbins. She's an author and speaker, but it's an easy, fun read. It really gets you thinking about your decisions and how relationships work. In ending, we can say, let God take care of them and let love change you through having Christ with you. That would be probably what I would suggest, is it is a relationship with God that'll create your ability to let go and let God.
Yeah.